When I was in seminary, I had my internship at a Japanese American UCC church called Sycamore. One of the many blessings of learning in that particular community was witnessing and participating in a monthly ritual of remembering loved ones who had passed. Each Memorial Sunday, we had a list of members, family, and friends who had passed during that month, but reaching far back into the church's long history. People were invited to come forward to light a candle for loved ones as each name was read aloud. The list also included names of people who had no close loved ones still in the church. The pastors and worship leaders would light candles for them, acknowledging their continued importance to the congregation. So front and center in the sanctuary was a large bowl full of tea light candles that remembered and honored this church's great cloud of saints. This powerful ritual married Christian tradition and theology with Japanese culture, recognizing the importance of our ancestors. Well over 20 to 30 names were read each month. People who had died over 50 years earlier were still remembered in the month of their death every year by their whole community, who felt their influence even if they never knew them. In my experience, these were particularly sacred worship services. Each year, I am so grateful for the opportunity to recall those sacred services and engage in a similar tradition and ritual with All Saints' Day. I'm grateful for all the saints of this church who came before us, who have made it possible for us to be together worshiping today. And for all the saints who have sustained us as individuals through good times and bad, whose memory and love uplifts us. In moments of success, joy, and triumph, we may remember that we stand on the shoulders of those who came before us, those who worked for peace, for justice, for human rights, for voting rights, for equality. And yet this year, I keep thinking of all that the saints survived. Looking around at the challenges and the pain that we are experiencing, I remember that history rhymes, that nothing new is under the sun, and that if we look back far enough, our great cloud of saints has preceded us through all that we face today. Most of us are probably pretty sick of the word unprecedented. I don't doubt that it is important to recognize and call out all the unprecedented things for us in this time and place. And yet, today and in the week ahead, which I anticipate will be incredibly difficult, I want the longer view of history. I'm looking for hope that stretches through the fullness of time. Madeleine L'Engle was a remarkable storyteller and theologian who numbers among the great cloud of saints that I have called on lately. I just finished rereading A Swiftly Tilting Planet. It's the third book in the Wrinkle in Time quintet. As Charles Wallace travels through time on a unicorn in this book, he sees history repeating itself, connecting people and places time and again. And in the same challenges, rhyming through the centuries, he encounters his ancestors. And through gentle nudges to follow what I would call God's spirit or God's call, he shifts the world from near atomic destruction to peace. In L'Engle's theology, reflected in this series of books, size is unimportant and time is relative. What happens on a subatomic level and what happens on a whole planet level are equally important. And our experience of moving through time in one direction in a straight line with seconds and minutes moving at a uniform rate, That's only one way of experiencing time. Somehow, through her brilliant storytelling, I'm able to glimpse these aspects of the holy that are otherwise quite difficult for me to imagine, no less relate to in my day-to-day life. I find these aspects of the divine important lately. When catastrophic thinking surrounds us, when divisions seem unbridgeable, when our survival through the coming weeks feels uncertain, and when the impact of this week on the weeks and months ahead, I just don't know what's coming. And so maintaining hope is an ongoing challenge. So much is at stake, or at least it feels that way. So I've escaped into Lingle's writings again, as her heroes join in what she calls the song of the universe, an ancient song that celebrates being, that takes joy in creation and life, from the submicroscopic to the stars. It would be unbelievably wonderful if somewhere some person whose heart and soul are tuned to the ancient song were traveling through time on a unicorn and gently shifting something in the past so that our present moved from fear of impending catastrophe to peace. We can always hope and pray. But while we wait for that, perhaps the more important and relevant lesson is that the small ways that we lean into peace and lean into God's calling for us, lean into connection and relationship, those have significant impact. They ripple out through people and across time in ways we can't see or understand or know. Like the saints of Sycamore UCC, whose lights still shine in their sanctuary, even if no one is left who remembers their eyes, their voice, their hands. Even if all that's remembered is a name, they are remembered. Those who took in their suitcase the deed to the church building when the US government interned them in World War II. Those who rebuilt the congregation in the years after the war. Those who sustained the church so that it continues to nurture the lives and souls of so many connected to that congregation today. We too have such saints, both in our individual lives and in our community as a congregation. Their lights still shine in our lives. Their love and peace, their living of the Spirit's call to them, it echoes into today. Their strength through which they survived the challenges of their own days, it echoes into today. Whatever feels unprecedented and catastrophic right now to us is not new to the universe, to the long scope of history. Emperors and tyrants have risen and fallen, and still God tells a story of salvation and redemption, of peace and love. And the universe sings a song of life and being. And no matter how small we feel, we can listen for that song. We can lean into love and we can lean into peace. The need for such love and hope is even more important now because All Saints' Day is so much heavier this year with the deaths of nearly 230,000 people from COVID-19 in the US alone. The presence of death is so much closer to all of us this year. Fear and grief are so close. Amidst this heaviness, today and this week, let us call on our cloud of saints. Let us remember them and hold them particularly close. Let us remember the ways that they were Christ to us, the ways they shared love and peace, the ways they taught us of grace and mercy. As Christ blessed the poor in spirit and those who mourn, Let us remember the ways our cloud of saints have blessed us. Uplifted by this cloud, may we face the challenges of our day with love and peace, with mercy and grace that ripple in blessings into the world and through time. Amen.